It's time for Australia's favourite segment, Fair or Fast. Starting with you, Fork. Will. The starting price for Zach Butters this year is 3 first-round picks. Fair or fast?
I think that's fair for this year, Ben, particularly. Port have been very, very adamant he's not going anywhere this season, which means you have to pay overs, even more than what you would maybe as a restricted free agent in their view, which he will be next year. I think that it gets you to the table, 3 first-round picks. I don't know if this year they're worth the same as what they might be last year or 2018 or 2021. But, I think it gets you to the table. Obviously, it depends where they fall in that pick 1 to pick 20. But, I think it gets you to the table. I don't know what... Maybe some players get thrown in as well. I'm not too sure, depending on the club that wants him, Max.
It'd have to be 3, because if Jeremy Cameron was 3 and 2 seconds back, he's more valuable than Jeremy Cameron was at that time because Cameron was a free agent. So that's more leverage that Geelong had. So he's arguably the most valuable asset that you can possibly think of. An in-contract player Port has absolutely no reason to trade.
Do you agree with our esteemed colleague Lee Montagna just then, who suggested on trading day that Zach Butters, Port Adelaide don't gain a lot out of trading Zach Butters this year?
What are you if you have Zach Butters in your team next year? Are you a 9-win team, an 8-win team? You're better, but...
So you're expecting a Port dip next year?
I'm not expecting a Port rise, more to the point.
Right.
I see
power surge?
No real...
No. Power outage.
If they are good, we can use that in headlines again,
We
which
can.
is fun.
Bailey Smith has increasingly become a big issue for the Cats throughout the year, both on and off the field. Fair or fast?
Very fair. It's bits and pieces emerging after the grand final and then the Mad Monday situation where...
It's interesting how it happens all after the grand final.
Funny that. The post that he made about the costumes, that's the weird thing about it. The costumes themselves were basically fine. Max Holmes probably should have ticked off the Caro one, but then it was the way he framed them. So this is the risk that Geelong is willing to take. They see a market inefficiency in players who may have some off-field things to deal with, whether it's mental health situations, whether it's, Tyson Stengel had the nightclub incident last year. Geelong just says, OK, come to us, we're going to deal with you very kid gloves, very softly, and you can be yourselves, even with their training method. You just rock up to training and do your personalised stuff. So it works for them pretty well. They're a pretty damn successful club. The problem is when you are too soft and let players go a bit off the edge, then when do you reel them back in? When do you suddenly become the dad really ruling on them, which makes it hard. With Bailey Smith, Josh Thomas, the comedian, not the former Magpie, had a really good point on social media, I thought. Calling people homophobic isn't necessarily helpful. It just divides people, it widens the gap between people who truly are problematic, say terrible things, and people who just make mistakes. So we can say that Bailey Smith made a mistake and we can try to make him into a better person, but you have to keep in mind he's still 24. As a former 24-year-old, I remember 24-year-olds can be pretty stupid. So these things can happen.
From a Geelong perspective, it's fascinating. I think it was after the Easter Monday game, Chris Scott said Geelong had, embraced all of Bailey Smith and what he brought to the club, both on and off the field. But as the season has gone on, it does feel like it's gotten a little bit out of control from a public narrative perspective.
I think it has. I was thinking in my head just before, I don't know if you can put a tangible price on the off-field stuff that's come from him this season. I think knowing Geelong would probably still call it a net positive. They recruited Bailey Smith this year.
Certainly.
He's had a great season on field, but...
Second in their best and fairest recently?
Yes, correct. Polled very well in the Brownlow as well. I don't know if they would have got on top of this as much as they would have thought or hoped. So there's a lot of work to be done. I'm sure they would admit that. Andrew Mackey almost alluded to that as well at Marvel Stadium. But, there's still lots of work through with Bailey. I mean, it's the price you pay for such a good player and such an exuberant character, flamboyant the way that he is and, attracts a little bit more publicity on someone than Tom Atkins, a team out of his.
Certainly.
They're, chalk and cheese, those two, but it's the price you pay for Bailey Smith.
It's odd that Bailey Smith has turned into this person. I remember when you were writing about him during the draft process, it was all just he's super professional and runs 10 Ks every 2 minutes.
Cooks his own steak with a red wine jus.
Yeah.
It is quite remarkable how it has flipped around Bailey Smith.
It speaks to the way that players can be nurtured, the culture inside the AFL system can be difficult to deal with.
While you're rolling there, Fork, Jack Steele will only progress in his AFL journey if he moves clubs this trade period. Fair or fast?
I hate to be a fence sitter, Ben, so I'm going to say fair. But I think just the way that St Kilda's shaped with their midfield, so Nasiah, Wangan and Miller obviously played such a big part in their midfield this year. I think that's the style of play they're looking for in their midfield, and I dare say it's part of the reason why Jack Steele's been asked to maybe have a look around and shop around at other clubs.
Been very careful how they've worded this publicly.
They have, which is why I'm very careful to say he'll only progress if he moves clubs.
Right.
I think there are suitors out there. There's about 5 of them. I think Collingwood's probably one, Essendon as well. GWS have been said to maybe be interested in him. Richmond, I think, would be a big asset there. So there are clubs out
Adelaide
there.
West Coast?
I don't think with Adelaide, that was something we didn't touch on with Joey earlier. I don't think so with them. West Coast, I think would be, but they've sort of said themselves they're not going to look after and chase Jack Steele, which is an interesting one for mine. I think it's harsh to say his career won't progress if he moves clubs, but won't progress if he doesn't move clubs. But at the same time, I think it feels like St Kilda believe it's in his best interest with the plans they have going forward.
They clearly need to make some level of cap space with all the players they're bringing in. And he also just feels like a bit of a player out of time. There's still use for that type of hard nut midfielder, but it's also just not 2021 anymore.
I was going to say, speaking of players out of time there, Maxi, Wade Dirksen isn't a real player, fair or fast?
So,
Is there a bit of Mackay, sort of Ben Mackay, Harry Mackay? Are they the same person? Are they real?
Well, I've never seen them in the same room. I've never seen Wade Dirksen in any room.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure that this is a media conspiracy. We've created a fictional player for trade rumour purposes. Have either of you ever seen Wade Dirksen play football?
I think I might have seen him.
Don't lie to me.
No, I think I have seen him play the VFL once.
Okay, well, you watched the...
Maybe I was mistaken.
Maybe you were mistaken.
Maybe I was mistaken.
It feels like...
Nathan Mortius, maybe.
Yes, he's a strange brother.
Of course. If you were to manufacture a player for the purposes of trade rumours, linking him to GWS and Melbourne too, only a few people are paying attention to them. No one knows they exist. This is this Madden AI-generated in 2047 fake name business. I don't believe it.
No, I was watching the VFL stream, but it felt like he flickered a little bit on the stream. Maybe it was a hologram of
that must
some
be
sort. Yeah, no. Look, Wade Dirksen and Nathan Mortius, 2 very good players who just haven't had a lot of luck at GWS. We know how good their defensive stocks are. Wanted to have a crack at Melbourne, and they've sort of stepped back a little bit.
Sure will. Sure they will.
Yeah.
That's what they all say.
Yeah.
Falk, Graham Gubby Allen fronted the media on Monday just so he didn't get fined. Fair or fast?
Fair, in the highest regard. Again, look, listening to him speak today was a unique experience.
Right.
And you don't often say that this time of year in trade period. You feel like you've seen a lot, you've done a lot.
A lot of the same language, a lot of the same phrases.
Yeah, same stuff, same day, different day.
What was the tone that he sort of brought to the table? Flippant?
Flippant, had to be there. Didn't choose to be there.
I've never thought of Gubby Allen as a Marshawn Lynch type, but maybe today.
There was a lot of wry smiling around the room when he answered. There were a few people that were asking questions and wanted to get the most out of him. Obviously, St Kilda's a very big player at this year's trade period.
The biggest.
The biggest, perhaps, alongside Gold Coast, and he didn't give an inch. It would have been 3 or 4 word answers at the longest for the first few questions, and I think everyone in the room started to sort of pick up what he was putting down. And then Channel 9's Braden Ingram was very... he wanted to get to the crux of it, gave him a couple of good questions, and that was when he sort of... he turned.
Did they maintain that this Jack Silvani signing has happened with his dad having no knowledge of it?
That was what Gubby did say, yes, and he said Ross Lyon then eventually came over the top and made the call himself, but that was the message they were sending.
Genuinely, if a club is signing players with the list manager having no knowledge of it, I'm very concerned for their future. That would be even more insane than the dad signing his son.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. That's right, Maxi.